Hello again, everyone, and welcome to part 4 of 5 of your Introduction to Legal Research. So if you're watching this video, you should have already completed parts 1 through 3 of the series and are generally comfortable using our LibGuides and catalog, browsing the CAIJ's topo, searching for case law in CAIJ and CAIJ, and searching for legislation and debates. Now we move on to part 4, so you need to find doctrine. Now, doctrine is often the first step in your legal research process, and it will generally lead you to relevant legislation and leading case law on your subject. It is considered an extremely important source of law in the civil law, but it also carries significant weight in the common law tradition too, particularly in Canada, and you will regularly find references to doctrine in Canadian court decisions, whereas this is less common in the US, for instance. So why should you start with doctrine? While doctrine is often too general or too specific for your exact research needs, it allows you to synthesize applicable law and find gaps, find the interpretation of a legal term or concept, discover and understand jurisprudential trends in legal camps, including new trends, and helps you support an argument. In other words, it's pretty essential to any legal writing that you do. As per usual, after this video, you'll be given an exercise to complete. The exercise will help you gauge how well you understand the material and are able to apply what we've covered. As a reminder, if you get stuck along the way, your TLs are available to guide you, and I'm also available to meet with you virtually or in person. Once again, a little preview of citations, just to help you understand what you are looking at and where to find it. And the goal isn't to ensure you learn how to cite to doctrine properly, but rather for you to be able to recognize the citation to doctrine so that you know where to look for it. And remember that the McGill Law Journal will be offering a more complete citations training in the coming weeks. So on to doctrine, which is essentially legal commentary, journal articles, treatises, texts, and other secondary sources. Again, we'll just do the bare minimum to help you understand what it is you're looking at and where to find it. At a quick glance, you'll see that legal citations to doctrine are not all that different from when you're citing in another citation style. Doctrine is fairly easy to recognize with an author, title, and publication information, whether it be a journal or a book. The one thing I will point out is particularly different, however, is the use of abbreviations in journal titles. And those abbreviations, just like the reporters or court abbreviations we saw, will be found in the famous McGill site guide. And if the article is available electronically, you'll find the name of the database at the end, sometimes abbreviated, which again means you'll be looking to your site guide. And that's all for citations for now. The goal again is mostly recognition to get you used to the doctrinal citations you'll see so that you can recognize what you are looking at, which in turn will help you determine an appropriate place to look for it. All right, so back to our friend Bill Murray. Who are you going to look to find doctrine? So potentially Google. While this isn't the ideal place to start for the reasons we covered in the first module, I would not be offended if you instinctively started your research in Google. That being said, review the first module to understand why researching in Google is not as efficient as using legal research tools or our catalog directly. As usual, your instinct should be to head directly to the law subject guide to see what it suggests. Recall that when you click in, you have your key resources to the right. There aren't any descriptions here, but with time you'll discover that most of them actually include doctrine too. But let's say you really didn't know, and you're looking for commentary on Canadian and on Quebec law. You have a few options. You could look through the ebooks or e-journals guides, but unfortunately I haven't yet had the time to complete my organization of those guides, so they're a little less user-friendly. Alternatively, you can select Canadian law, and then you can either read through the key resources here or click into the secondary sources tab. So these would be the most recommended databases for doctrinal research on Canadian law. For Quebec law, you would select that guide and either look through the key resources or select the Doctrine tab. Today we'll be looking at a periodical index and at HeinOnline's Law Journal library in particular to find Canadian commentary. We'll also hit up our catalog again. So for Quebec law, we'll look at the CAIJ, but know that there are many other resources you could opt to use, and be sure to check out the doctrinal resources for other jurisdictions too. So, what is a periodical index? Essentially, a periodical index lets you know about the existence of doctrine on a particular topic. You enter a keyword, or if available, use the subject headings provided by the index, and citations to articles written on the topic appear. Some periodical indices are actually full text, so you can even get the full text of the article right there, but most only give you the citation to the article, and then you need to find the article yourself. You need to look at the scope of the periodical index to see what is included in it. For Canadian periodical indices, you can look under the Secondary Sources tab of the Canadian Law LibGuide. Or you can look at the General Law LibGuide on periodical indices here. It is important to note that searching a periodical index does not include a full text search of the articles. Rather, you are searching specific fields of the bibliographic record, usually author, title, and subject heading. While this might seem less effective than a full text search, it does help you ensure that you are finding an article that really focuses on your topic, as opposed to one which simply mentions your topic in passing. Additionally, it allows you to search through a much larger pool of data. Indices can include tens, if not hundreds of thousands of citations, whereas some databases will only include a few thousand articles and ebooks. Last, indices are able to lead you to historical content that you might otherwise not have found. For instance, a citation to a journal article from the 1970s, which is only available in print. This is an article you likely would not have discovered searching a regular legal database or searching our catalog. So today we'll look at the Index to Canadian Legal Literature, which is available both on Lexis Advanced Quick Law and on Westlaw Canada. So they're under Secondary Sources here and Periodical Indices. That being said, I find it much easier to navigate on Westlaw, as they provide you with a table of subject headings used to classify all Canadian legal literature published since August 1985. This allows you to be certain that you're selecting the right keywords. So from Westlaw Next, you can see the Index to Canadian Legal Literature here. And then you want to scroll down to the bottom for a table of subject headings. From here, you can search for a keyword or browse. Let's search for publications on cannabis. The search results screen tells us that there are 4 pages where you'll find the word cannabis, under the letters A, C, M, and P. Clicking on A, I Control F the word cannabis, and I can see here that it's a subheading under the main heading of advertising. Under C, I find the heading cannabis with a bunch of subheadings. I can also see some different subheadings, such as hemp or marijuana abuse, used for other related subjects. And you can continue and see what was under the letters M and P. So now we can go back to our search and search for publications on cannabis and criminal provisions, for instance. And there are 3 results. Let's take the first one. You can see here that the article is published in Criminal Law Quarterly, though if you couldn't decipher this, you would need your site guide to check the abbreviations. If the journal was available in this database, the reference would be hyperlinked and you could read it within Westlaw. Here, you will need to search for the journal title in our catalog to see if we have access to it. I'm going to ungroup the related editions here so that it's easier to see the print versus electronic records. And sure enough, you can see here that this journal is available from 1958 with a 3-year embargo via HeinOnline. So I can click the link here, and this takes me into HeinOnline. And it's very important to access Hein in any McGill Law database from our library site as opposed to Googling it because you want the proxy to kick in and recognize your credentials. We're looking for volume 44 from May 2001 and page 487. And here it is. So this is how you would use a periodical index and the catalog to find a relevant publication. Now that we're in HeinOnline, I want to introduce you to their law journal library, which houses more than 2,800 law and law-related periodicals, and will generally be a great starting point for you to do a full-text search of journal articles. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that students and lawyers do when searching HeinOnline is to immediately type in a search query in the top search box on the home page. The problem with this is that HeinOnline has dozens of databases, most of which contain content that will be entirely irrelevant to you. Yet, you might find an article in a narrow database, like the Pentagon Papers or Art Antiquity in the Law, that happens to mention your search term in a completely irrelevant context. Additionally, the Law Journal Library has a unique search engine feature that is unavailable via the regular search and allows for a more precise search. So when you get to this page, and if you're looking for journal articles, please remember to select Law Journal Library and do not just type in the main search box unless you want to search multiple databases at the same time. So let's head to this Law Journal Library. Click in and you can see the selection of journals included therein. You can do a full text search in the search box, but I want to show you the really neat advanced search feature for this database. So you need to click on Advanced Search, and now Keyword Search Builder. I really like this feature because it allows students to assign weights to keywords when doing research. So if we wanted to find articles on criminal provisions and cannabis, but we're actually more interested in sentencing, we could do something like this. Enter criminal code, cannabis, sentencing, and Canada, and you could vary your weights like so, and click Submit. If you don't like your results, you can adjust the weights, remove or enter new terms, and limit by year. Hein shares the impact of the article through access and citation statistics, which might be a good indicator of an article that you shouldn't skip out on. Let's take a look at drug offenses and discharges in Canada, which, while dated, might be important to help you understand why changes to criminal law and sentencing were so important. You could read the article online, or you could download the PDF. You can search within a text too. Now, another great feature of the Law Journal Library is the More Like This feature, which allows you to find similar articles to the one you are reading. The feature uses keywords and references to determine similar articles. You can see the keywords it picks up on and can then alter those keywords and weights too. If you prefer to have greater flexibility in your search, instead of using the weight feature, you can use simple Boolean and proximity operators in your search. Always search within the Law Journal database. Clicking on Search Help explains the symbols used to perform various functions. Note that operators vary by database, so it is always useful to take a look at these when searching. Next, I want to return to our catalog to search primarily for books, but before doing that, I would like to share a little catalog trick with you. It is helpful to know that our physical library, like most other academic libraries in North America, is organized according to Library of Congress, which divides law by jurisdiction, not by area of law. Last summer, I had a lawyer come in looking for books on debtor-creditor law, and he said that he was only finding U.S. law when he browsed the shelves. He had quickly searched debtor-creditor in our catalog and found a call number starting with KF and went there to browse. So because our collection includes a lot of foreign law and because the texts don't always include the name of the jurisdiction in their title, it's useful to include a reference to the jurisdiction in your search query. Since our law collection is organized by jurisdiction, indicating the start of the call number in your query will allow you to ensure that you find a text that references that particular jurisdiction, as opposed to a text simply published in that jurisdiction. To add this to your query, go to the Advanced Search in our catalog and type in as a keyword NU : with the jurisdiction prefix. So for Canadian law, KE. Then add in another keyword for the area of law. Scrolling through the results, it looks like KE 1030 or KE 1485 could be good places to start. And recall, you can browse the shelf virtually, and this includes ebooks too. The last resources that we'll look at today are the Doctrine collection and the Indices database from the CAIJ. These databases also add to our collection, and there's no indication from our catalog that we have access to anything located here, so you need to consider it a second database to search. So the CAIJ is one of our key resources, and you'll recall from the last presentation that you all have unique login credentials to the CAIJ as if you were members of the Quebec Bar. For the purposes of the lesson on legislation, the benefit there was that you got access to an annotated civil code. For today's lesson, the bonus is that you get access to the Indices collection, which contains, among other titles, hundreds of English language Canadian publications by Irwin Law, including many of your required and complementary 1L course readings. The Doctrine collection includes, you guessed it, electronic titles, including ebooks, e-journals, the Développement Récent collection from the Barreau, with recent developments in the law organized by area of law, and even law firm publications and publications from the bar. You can browse the Doctrine collection by subject or by author, or you can do a general search. Another great feature available when you log into your account is the ability to save documents and searches to your profile. Items found on Doctrine are easily downloadable, another great feature. The Indices collection is a separate database that our membership to the CAIJ gives us access to. You will need to log in to search. Importantly for you, this database contains the most recent editions of the Essentials of Canadian Law collection by Irwin Law, recognizable by their burgundy covers. These are clear, concise, introductory texts for various areas of law. Unlike content in the Doctrine database, content here is not readily downloadable. Last, I wanted to share a little cheat sheet to help instill instincts on where to double-check for electronic versions of texts when our catalog tells you that we do not have the e-version of a text. You can, of course, always check with a librarian, but know that this is something only law librarians would know, so you would have to contact myself or Sonia. So if you see that your book is published by Carswell or Thomson Reuters, you should double-check in Westlaw Next. Anything published by Sweet and Maxwell is also technically a Thomson Reuters product, so you can access that via Westlaw Books, which will be accessible to you through your OnePass login, or if you're in Westlaw Next, you can try searching through the UK content and you'll be prompted to log in again with your individual Westlaw credentials. Things published by Yvon Blais, those should actually all be cataloged, but they are available for the most part in La Référence. LexisNexis titles and Lexis Advanced Quick Law. Irwin Law titles will be available in the Indices collection on the CAIJ website. Again, you'll have to log in with your credentials for that. And Wilson Lefthal books are available freely on the CAIJ's Doctrine collection. And that's all for this lesson. Evidently, there are other databases you can use to search for Doctrine, and with time you'll develop your own preferences. Remember that we do offer training throughout the year on particular databases, so keep an eye open for those. Now please see the associated assignment for this lesson, and don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions.